You should get it, man.
One day. Hey everyone, this is Carlo of 4GQ TV here at WonderCon, and I'm here with Andres Useche and two amazing guests. And I'm going to pass the mic off to Andres for another fantastic interview.
Hi, this is Andres.
I'm Bob Lydecker. I'm Kevin Lax.
And these are two great composers who collaborate on projects like the Kung Fu Panda, the latest show. And I want to hear about that process of how you guys started working together.
Started with a fist fight. Ended with a fist fight.
How long have you guys known each other?
It's been about 20 years. We went to college together.
Okay.
Yeah, so our foundation of our relationship is friendship. And then we've started collaborating only recently.
When we joined the same agency, we decided to demo together. And actually the first project we demoed together, we got.
Which was the Kung Fu Panda, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and what was that decision like for each of you? Because I want to know, I mean...
We kind of just thought we would try it, and we thought there might be advantages to it. I don't know. It takes a lot of the pressure off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, because sometimes the ego gets in the way. I imagine it could get in the way, but...
Yeah, it could happen, but it's kind of nice having like two minds to come at one problem. And sometimes nice for the director, you know, it's like we have one scene scored two different ways for them. And then...
oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's a good point about the ego, because we both have big ones. No, more so, it's just like, I think it's good if you, as long as you have a conversation before you get into the minutia of splits and, you know, and all that, and who's going to take what thing. And we can do a pretty good job of splitting up the material pretty well. But, you know, there's going to be some stuff that we need to talk out. But luckily, we always have good chats about how do we want to go about the workflow. So there's nothing's lost in the company.
Now, there are big projects where I know, personally, I know composers who have a lot of people working under them who actually do a lot of the legwork.
Yeah, right.
But in this case, you're equal partners. So how do you make sure that it stays even all the time? Like, do you guys tackle one thing after the other? For example, we do, like as screenwriters, sometimes we, you know, you do that scene, you do that scene. Do you guys do the same thing? Or?
Yeah.
We try to be mindful of also the split, like doing action music might be more involved just because it's more programmed and more notes.
Right.
So someone's going to do 5 minutes of action music, then someone might do 8 minutes of more dramatic. At least we just try to be mindful of some of the burden of the load.
And then if it feels like it's not even for some reason, we just talk about it and have a conversation.
Yeah, that's a benefit of really being friends from the get-go. And did you always want to do film music, or did you come from different...
I kind of wanted to do art for films.
Oh,
so
really?
like concept art or something like that.
Oh, nice.
Or maybe I thought I wanted to be a matte painter when I was a kid. But I don't think I would have been good at that.
I want to be a soccer star. But pretty early on, developed a love of like film music and writing music and being in bands. So,
did you guys share the same tastes, like in school when you met? Is that?
I think our tastes are. I think there's overlap.
Yeah, it's like a Venn diagram.
Yeah, but we have like different areas we gravitate towards, which is kind of nice.
It's helping it's nice in a collaborative thing. We'll probably bring something to the picture. You're like, whoa, never thought about that. You know, it's actually nice to have that contrast.
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge you faced in collaboration, and how did you solve it? Like, is there a particular scene or cue that you remember?
Well, maybe, I don't know. We've had like some scenes where we had different feelings of maybe like how to play the humor, or like, okay, do we lean into the humor or do we lean into the drama? But it's like, ultimately it's not us deciding which way to play it. It's like we both take an approach and then we figure it out with the director which way to end up.
Because once you give the director, they can kind of give their verdict, and you know, we won't be like, oh, I was right, but more so it's just kind of informative, because sometimes you don't know when scoring, because you can play it one way or another and have merit on each side, you know.
And with something like Kung Fu Panda, I mean, it's something that is already established as a brand. It's got a music palette. Is that challenging to find your way to add your own creativity, your own voice within that context that's already been built?
I mean, I think so, but I think we don't necessarily have to add our creative voice. We just have to serve the story and honor what came before us.
It's also kind of inspiring being part of a large franchise that has this history and creative demands, you know, and extending that legacy of great music. So
early on, the showrunner told us, don't you don't have to try to copy it, but just be inspired by what came before.
Yeah.
So it's like an opportunity to learn and grow as artists.
And did you dive into the Asian music in a different way than you had studied before, maybe?
Well, one cool thing is that the characters leave China at the end of the first season, and they go to India, Mesoamerica, England. So we got to explore lots of kinds of music beyond Chinese traditional music.
I'm really curious about this because of some of the work I'm doing, but and specifically, I'm Colombian, South American, and I'm very interested in, as I research for my writing and for my music creation, we've lost a lot. There's no recordings. Some of the civilizations, they don't even have survivors,
Sure.
So did that pose a challenge to you when it came to Mesoamerica to find some thread, and how did you find the music in that anthropology?
Yeah, I mean, there were sources that said, and I don't know what the sources were, and some traditions are still carried alive by like people today. But yeah, I mean, we were looking more in like, Guatemala, Mexico area. And, well, it's also tough because a lot of people, in Hollywood and in our general culture, they think of that music and they think of like post-Columbian music. But I don't know, some of that early stuff, they used like conch shells and like rattles and shakers, and like some kind of like horns that sounded almost like didgeridoo to people. I don't know. So it was cool to learn about that stuff.
I think we're also exploring, of the past, people might associate just add some woodwinds to that because it kind of sounds of that region. But now I think there's far more sensitivity to like the specific region that things come from. So, and now there's more data and instruments that you can kind of draw from. So it's kind of neat because when we're in India, it's not just like add some ethnic instruments of sitar. It's like what specific region of India they're from, because it's a vast culture with various music.
And in that case, fortunately, a lot survived. The music is being carried.
Together. But also with Kung Fu Panda, it's like it doesn't take place in the real world,
right?
So there is a little leeway.
For sure.
But it's cool to try to, traditions that have been lost. It's like any way we can bring those back into, the music we're hearing now is, I think, a good thing. So, yeah.
What about collaborating with directors? Because I've heard different composers approach it in a different way, and I guess sometimes the director leads the way. But do you have a preferred way to work with directors?
We were pretty fortunate with like our last one with Orion in the Dark, where he was very collaborative, and I think I prefer someone like that. I mean, it's a fine balance between where you don't want someone who's so hands-on, being like that note, like at your piano, but where they feel comfortable coming into your studio and providing examples of what they want and really getting into the nitty gritty and being a good communicator. And so I think we benefited from that with this past project. So,
Do you enjoy receiving, maybe, I don't know if they do that, but your particular directors, do they offer you guidance as to look at this photograph for inspiration or this art that we've worked on, or, how far along before he reaches out to you or she reaches out to you too?
Yeah, that stuff's cool. Like I like being inspired by looking at like, okay, look at this photo and how would you translate that into music? Or as opposed to saying like, okay, here's some music to listen to and then let that inspire you. Yeah, it's nice having people who have clear ideas but are also open. Like lifting you up as opposed to like pushing you like a certain way.
Well, yeah, with like Orion in the Dark again, Sean, he was very skilled like drawer and painter. So it's cool to see his collection of artwork because you could see that he had a strong creative mind, and it kind of like pushed you to be like, how can I meet this expectation? Even though he did provide music examples, but just his whole character, exuded kind of a creative spirit,
And you said that you also like art, and then
I don't do it as much anymore, but as a kid, like I liked drawing, and that's like what I would do all the time. And
I'm very interested in this because I also draw comics, and that played a big role in me going to filmmaking and adapting a graphic novel of mine. So I was wondering how that might have played a role in your evolution.
Yeah, I think it was like kind of like so I liked doing art, and that's what I would do. And then I started becoming passionate about music. But there's so many ways to go into music. So I think like that foundation, art and films, made me want to do film composing. So it kind of like was a circle.
Fantastic.
If that makes any sense.
Is there any genre type of music that you dream about being able to tackle in film that you haven't gotten the chance?
like say like 70s lounge music, like David, would be a good example. I guess kind of like not Motown, but like a Barry Manilow. But if that was like more like film music,
okay,
you know?
Got you.
I don't know. It'd be cool to do something microtonal. So like something with like a different tuning system. Then it might not work, but yeah.
I'm sure you could work in some
It just has to be the right movie.
Yeah, it has to be the right movie.
Yeah.
Experimental.
Yeah, something experimental.
Yeah, that'd be great. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Good talking to you.
Yeah, you too.
Take care.